Hi, good evening all. So today we are going to discuss about mapping the port numbers in Docker. So first let us get to know a few terminologies about Docker images and Docker containers. So the first thing that we have to do in order to check whether we can map a Docker image to a different port. So by default port number 80 is used for HTTP request and response. Now you might ask why we use only HTTP port 80, because for a Docker client to communicate with the Docker server, or you can say the Docker daemon, so there is a HTTP request. The Docker client sends the HTTP request to the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon on the other hand, it responds to the Docker client based on the request which has been sent. Now as we all know that the HTTP request is usually sent by port number 80. So let's say we instantiate or we run a Docker image. So here are a few things that happens when you run a Docker image. Now just for record, I'll just check what all Docker images do I have on my system. So if you could see, I have like 3 images, which is Sadat, Drupal and Hello World. So Hello World is a default image which actually comes when you install Docker. So these are a few basic things. But when you run an image in a local host, it actually a container is created and an image goes into that. So you can access the contents of the image. So let's say I've pulled an image. We can pull an image by using docker pull, and I've already pulled the images. So it's Drupal is what I have pulled. So if you could see in the Docker images, it's already pulled. So the reason why I'm not pulling right now is it will take a lot of time. So for the record, I've already pulled it. So once you pull it, and there is a command docker run -i -t, and this is the image name Drupal, and /bin bash. So what are we like intending to do in here is we are just trying to access what is inside that image. So let's say there is an image of Windows, or there is an image of Ubuntu or Drupal. This is a website just like WordPress. So there is an image, and we would like to know what's inside of that image. So by using docker run command, I is nothing but you can say interactor, and T is nothing but an extension by which we are attaching the terminal, which is /bin/bash. So when we run this, let's wait for some time. So we could see over here that the terminal has changed to /opt/Drupal. So if we do ls, we could actually see the different things which are inside that image. So if we go to cd web, so we can see autoload.php, readme.md, install.txt, core, example, gitignore. These are the actual files which are there inside, which is the actual HTML files or .php extension files which are there inside this image. So by using this method, we can actually access what's inside that image. So the first thing which happens is whenever you run a Docker image, it gets containerized, and after that containerization, you can actually access what's inside that image. Now this is an interactive mode in terminal that you get to access what's inside the image. So let's assume that you want to run this container and say visualize what exactly that image or how that image looks like. So I'll do an exit. So we type docker run, D is nothing but detached mode, and -p it's used for attaching the port number. So let's say I want to use 1200 port and :80, and I'm assigning a name which is, let's say, test 121, and this is the name of the image, which is Drupal. Okay, so what I'm doing over here is docker run -d is nothing but detached mode. Now if we don't specify this -d flag, which is detached mode, then the terminal, it won't be prompting. It will be just waiting for the user input. So we might not be able to do any other task in the terminal if we don't specify this -d flag. And -p is used to specify the port number. So as I told, we have mentioned 1200:80. The reason is we are mapping port 80 to the port 1200. Now you might ask, why is it required to do this? So let's say we are about to run multiple containers, or to check what inside that image is. So we can't just use one default port for that. So if it's occupied, then things are gone. So we want to map it to different port numbers so that we can actually view different images once it has been containerized. And hyphen hyphen name, we are just giving the name of that thing, and this is the image which we want to run. So I'll just put enter and let's wait for the things to process. So if you could see over here, it means that it has been successful. So docker ps hyphen a. So see, this is 3af7c, so this is the container id if I'm not wrong, and this is the image Drupal by which we have run this docker image, and we have mapped it to port number 1200. So if you could see here in the port side 0.0.0.0 colon 1200, and there is an arrow mark 280, and it's a TCP port, which means that we can access it on port number 1200 by using localhost, and the name of the image is test121. So you might ask, like, what if I don't specify the name? So it will just take a default name. Let's say this was the image which I tried yesterday, and it has been containerized. I did not specify the name, nor did I specify the port, so it just took the default name, which is dazzling montalcini something. So it has been successfully run. So let's go to the browser and check if it's running fine. So if you could see localhost, and the port number is 1200. So let's just wait for some time to see. Yeah, it's still loading. Might take some time. So until then, 1001. So I think there is so I think it's almost done. So if you could see, this is the image which we pulled from the repository, which is the Docker repository, and we have run this image using localhost. So this is how exactly this looks like when you run it on the actual server. So this was all about port mapping. I hope you liked the session. Thank you.